This is certainly an interesting project and a real pleasure to work with a lot of different tradespeople and a lot of different designers. And part of the challenge was to bring the old house into the new house, which is a more contemporary design. And one of the favorite things for me is reusing many of the old beams from the old house and finding good places to use them. And in the kitchen here, you can see we put, some of these posts are actually structural. They're really holding up the building, whereas others are put there just as a reminder of how houses were built. And this is part of the old building. So not only do we have pieces of the old building, but you know, these were, you know, old trees when they were cut down and built in this house a long time ago. So I often think about what was going on in the world when these were baby trees, let alone now parts of this beautiful house. So the beamwork is really particularly satisfying for me to work on. So that, for me, that's one of the special things about this building.
I believe Jonathan, myself, and Jay were working on the back porch as the excavators were preparing to, you know, dig out the foundation of the new site here, and they had pulled a rock that was buried underneath the old porch, and it just happened to be this huge capstone for a 12-foot deep hand-stacked original well for the original farm. And it was kind of really neat to, you know, stumble across, and you know, I think everybody was kind of blown away that it was there, and everybody's been kind of walking over it for years, and you know, found this gem underneath it. So you know, it's still there. It's probably still right here under this porch now. So
what was thought was that from the time when it was built, that a lot of the structural beams and stuff were made out of, or hand hewn with an adze out of chestnut, and I think what we later learned it was as well as I think it was white oak as well. So I think those two species were the ones that were the primary existing structure of the farm. I think we learned that some of the decorative posts, the uprights, were actually oak.
They were oak.
And there were a few select pieces that were chestnut. Yeah, and but I think those were the exciting parts of the, you know, coming to see the development of where we are today.
As a trim carpenter, so often when I'm working in old buildings, I'm trying to match the things that were original. In this building, in the addition onto this building, the modern sensibility is quite different. Old trim used to be ornate if they had money, or very plain if they didn't. And in this building, there's sort of a spareness and I don't know, utility maybe to the trim and the look. So many of the windows have almost no trim at all. They're and it's painted to sort of disappear rather than be highlighted. And so that's something that is unusual. In my years building, on occasion, I have found, while taking old things apart, something that was left by the original builders. Sometimes purposely, sometimes just old bottles because I think they were drinking a lot and hiding their bottles in the walls. But so oftentimes when I do a project, I leave a card that says, and sometimes a newspaper that shows my crew, who was working on the building and stuff. And hopefully when I'm dead and gone and somebody remodels again, they'll find out that we renovated a place. I did that here too.
You did that?
I did.
You're going to tell us where
no,
you put it?
No, I'm not. Okay.